Hello and welcome to another episode of the Flubcast. I'm here to do a review, show you some highlights of the game against Trinidad and Tobago versus Barbados. And I'll apologize again for saying Trinidad versus Barbados so many times when I was commentating. Thank everybody who came out. Thanks for all the sponsors, Morvino, Digicel, Audio and Video, 360 for doing an incredible job streaming, Blossoms Short for coming out and taping the game, and so much more. We really need all your support to bring these kind of events together. And of course, thank you Barbados for coming across. Without your help making these tours possible, we'll never know really where we are as a country, and we wouldn't know where we are development wise. So thank you all so much. We hope you all had a great time, and I hope you all also enjoy this video because it will involve you all. So where do we start? It'll be so easy just to start praising players for an incredible win. The score ended up being T&T 33, Barbados 27 unofficial score. So how am I going to approach this video? Well, here's how I'm going to break it up. While I'm talking, I'm showing you all highlights in the back, which I hope emphasizes my point. But you know, rugby, test rugby especially, is like a chess game, and you have to adjust based on what your opponent is doing, what your opponent is offering, what's working for you, what's not working for you, and play accordingly. And we, Trinidad and Tobago Rugby, we are looking forward to the future. We know we have a monumental game against USA South, and we have to think what not only worked well against Barbados, but what are we expecting USA South to do, and what do we need to work on as a unit. So first off, let's talk about that. The game basically started exactly what you would expect. We saw Barbados and they bought a monster pack. All of their men were incredibly big, great athletes, but they were bringing size. And when it started, where from a kickoff, it was a little scrappy, they won a line out, and they brought it down, and they drove, and they went about 15 meters. Eventually, I'm not sure if we conceded a penalty or they might have done one phase out with a big runner, but everything for that first phase, after a massive drive where Trinidad just couldn't really stop, they just ran it right first channel there, right between the fly off first center. Sometimes the outside was bringing it up, and they just worked. Eventually, we gave away a penalty. They kicked it for the corner. They got the line out. They brought it down. One phase out, two phase out, pick and go, and they scored right like that. Barbados when you lead, and everybody was just absolutely silent. And we said, well, we are going to have a very long day because they bought a weapon. We, T&T, decided to field a very aggressive and very fit back row, but size wise we were lacking in a few areas, and we were suddenly very worried. We said, how are we going to stop this? What are we going to do to adjust it? But then the most amazing thing happened, and Barbados opted all of a sudden off every other line out not to bring it down and drive and just go forward and suck in and get penalties and use their kicker Hakimian to just punt it down the field. They suddenly started to do all these things where they're popping off the top. They were looking off scrums. Every time they were getting a scrum, they were getting go forward ball, and there was absolutely no reason for Sanford, their 8, to pick and go. They could have just kept it in. They could have won some penalties off that, but for some reason they were going, and they weren't only looking to play it in the first channel. All of a sudden Barbados said, we are going to spin every single thing wide, and that worked to our advantage completely, because our back row of Dyke and Ballington are going to get everything out of that outside channel. In fact, we excelled defensively in the outside channel, especially with Agbola, who I thought, I'll get to when we do player ratings as well, I thought he did a massive job defensively in the back three covering. So Barbados played exactly the opposite of where their strength was, and it was weird because it was an example of, from the first phase, exactly what would work. And then they just said, look, we know where we are as a squad, maybe size wise, but we're not going to be able to do that. You heard Joe Whipple say it, we are here as a friendly, and we are going to spin the ball and play and see what our side could do. And they had some dangerous runners, but they were playing exactly to our strength, because their big pack, even when they were driving in scrums and everything, they had to do these 40 meters runs out wide, their back row, and you're not going to beat Dyke and Ballington out of that outside channel. So if they kept it in, all they should have done for the entire game, Barbados, to really test Trinidad, was to keep it, just play 13-man rugby max. Their centres, everything should have been a cut back inside. Let it be easy for their pack when they just break off, either from a line out or scrum, just to get to that first phase and just work phases from that with their big bodies. Every time a big man ran, they were making 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards, because that's what they bought. They bought the pack for that. They have these massive centres who are good runners as well, good strike runners, but they played disadvantage of themselves. They decided to go everything wide, and it gave us a channel because we counter-ruck so successfully. So what I would basically say is, when I'm going to go to player rating especially, is that they played that game and we countered it and we excelled at it, because that is exactly what we were hoping for. The rain held up and Barbados played to our strength. But I have to ask myself, what happens when USA South comes down? Are they going to be that merciful? You better believe when USA South comes down and they ran a first line out and they set up their maul and they start going and they realize, wait, now we're getting easy yards, easy penalties. Hey, from scrums, if we keep this ball in at the 8-man feet and look for a push, we're going to win some penalties late in the game. And they're going to use it and use it and use it. So now it's up to Trinidad to decide to say, what are we going to do and put in place for if that happens? How are we going to counter it? So that's basically what a lot of this is about. Now, some of you all would argue when I'm talking about some of the other players to say, well, where we really excelled and why their lineout started to fall apart is because we are very, very capable of using one of our props, and a big guy as well, Carmichael, who had a stellar game. And he was able to lift Dite by himself at 2 defensively. And their jumper, who was an absolute unit, and he basically, their main guy was a guy called Grayson Haynes. And he had a great game as well. But I think where they lacked a little bit is, for some reason, when you're lifting somebody defensively with just a prop, it's going to just be a quick up and down. I mean, we're not playing with Incredible Hulk. He can't keep Dite up there all the time. So there's no reason when 2 props are lifting a guy who's the exact same size, basically, height-wise, Grayson Haynes, why does it have to be a quick throw in it? It should have almost been a lob 2, where Dite would go up for that second, but after 1.5 he starts to come down. Grayson almost just stays up there, takes an easy ball, brings it down and sets it up. But they try to do the little strike throws, and that is basically again playing into Trinidad's strength. USA South is not going to do that, but we'll see what happens. Again, we're just looking at the future. So if they do that, how are we going to stop that rolling maul? How are we going to stop the drive? What happens if our scrum? And even that, I'll just say, selection wise, I think it was a master stroke. We made some changes early. This is not throwing, of course, our boy Ephraim under the bus, who was going to start at 2, but we decided to go with Wazim, bring on that little experience to start. And of course, we opted to go with Wendell Fullerton on the bench. And how vital did that play out in the end? So, incredible game. Lots of things to discuss. And we just again want to thank Barbados. They had some stellar players. I just think their back row, what they offered, if they played to their back row strength, I don't know how we would have stopped them. I thought their Simeon John was exceptional when he was getting the ball, just in that first channel, just a little pops out to him. He is a unit. I mean, slam into AC and have AC even going backwards, that tells you what a mountain of a man he was. I thought their kicker, Hakimian, had a great game, well, with ball in hand. Off the tee, he did well. Again, not sure why they insisted to do everything. Basically, every single scrum they wanted to run was out to the fly half, and the fly half does a deep ball back to the blindside winger coming across. So their pack, every time they got up, everything from a line out, every single thing they got up, they looked out even when they were going forward, and they had to run backwards 40 yards. And they must have just been fuming, saying, just keep it close to us, let us do the work, we're going to make yards. So with that being said, you would think I'm criticizing Trinidad, but far from. I am just basically saying we always want to look at that next step. This squad did some exceptional work, and what are we going to do if they then play a different style, do not play to our strength? How are we going to counter that? That has to be the main factor. But after a stellar performance, I want to say top notch again, thanks to Barbados. And now I want to talk about Trinidad boys and the Trinidad team. And again, I just want to thank 360 TV. Kelson organized them to come down, and they got some incredible camera footage. And I think that would be an amazing partnership going forward. And of course, we even got Blossom to come and tape the game. I'm going to be posting that on my channel as well. And again, it's just more camera angles, the wider channels as well. You might just look and we're so accustomed to seeing tight views. It's only when we open it up and you're saying, well, what defensive lines are we really running? What support lines are we running? That you could really open it up and take a look at your individual game. And that's what it's all about. We're just really starting to focus now on the niches, because when we play with a smaller pack, we have to bring everything together. We have to have our technique down to a T. I'm just saying as well, when we are doing our lineouts, it is concerning when we bring it down that we are having a little trouble identifying the roles when we're connecting for our rolling maul. And I'll talk a little bit about that with bonuses options of the lineouts as well. But it is something where when we're bringing it down from the line out, you have that initial person that goes in. The first person that comes to rip the ball, when he gets it back, he's setting up a platform as well for those two other people coming to seal that in. And then he makes sure that he cannot be held in, the ball cannot be trapped in. The other two people are locked on, they're starting to solidify it. And once he slips the ball back, those 6 people in front, the 2 props that lifted, the jumper, the 2 people that locked on, and the initial guy that ripped it, they now are going forward. They are a unit, they are like a tank, they are moving forward. And the person in the back is just controlling it. And Bonus is moving them around, has to talk, has to rethink. And there's absolutely no reason from that to start to splinter. And a few times we got that wrong just because we haven't played together. And I should highlight that Barbados is midway through their season and Trinidad has not played in 4 years, and the performance they put on was incredible. So I know you all think I'm being critical, so let's change up the tone and start doing some individual player assessments. So first I'm going to start with the starting prop, who ended up winning the Flubcast Man of the Match, who is Travis Carmichael. And besides having a great day as a prop where he just did his work really well, he lifted defensively exceptionally well, he was stellar in the open field. Defensively, he poached so many balls, he added great runs, he brought energy, he was constantly positive, he was go forward. I think Carmichael had a stellar game, probably the best game I've seen him play to date. And a few people I'm going to say that comment about to tell you how much went right for us today. And it's not always going to go right, and who's going to be that positive beacon to constantly pull us back together, settle us down, because everything seemed to work for us. So next I'm going to go on to Wazim Olivier. He came on. I personally, I usually like to know where I'm starting or if I'm benching early in the week, because they're 2 completely different jobs and you need to mentally be prepared. If you're starting, you know what you have to give. And if you're on the bench, your role is completely different. You need to be that positive energy. You need to be feeding. So if you're the backup hooker, you're constantly just feeding positive energy, just giving it to the hooker there. What do you need? Before the game, you're going to have a great game. During halftime, hey, do you need anything? You're almost even bringing them ice. You need water. You just give them. So you're letting the hooker just unleash everything. Just go, 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 go. So if you're needed when the time comes, he's ready for you to come on. There's a positivity that's coming on, and the rest of the team feeds off it. The coaches feed off it. When you're just on the sideline and you're this negative force, you're not sure, you're just this quiet, you're just rumbling, it's like a cancer that spreads. Cannot be that way. And I think it was a masterstroke to say, look, let's take some of the press off Ephraim. He had a great squad, but let's start with Wazim, and he didn't put a wrong foot forward. I thought he had a good game. A few of his throws, you do have to decide, not everything is a bullet ball, some is a lob, but when you are throwing against a man with Grayson's talent, he had a good game. So congratulations, Wazim. Nod of the head for that one. Ernest AC Wright, the other prop, stellar, just like Carmichael. What a game. What I love about AC is that he runs these smart lines. You have this idea that the props are just these big oxes that just take it up and want to slam in, but he just runs these intelligent lines which forces defenders. Nobody could ever seem to just put a direct shoulder on him. Everything is, a man has to kind of almost move his body weight, put an arm out, and he always gets his go forward. I thought AC was great in his scrums as well. It was very evident when he came off. So big work there, AC. You could be incredibly proud of your performance. Next, I'm going to go to the Jamal Clark. He is a unit. And also, I just say, I am somebody who, I started everything at the first. You cannot, if you're not winning your set pieces, everything is at a loss. Everything is a loss. Now, I think for scrums, he solidifies our scrum. He's like a backbone there, and he gives so much support to the props. And I was surprised because I am always somebody who, I like a prop in the front, holding the jumper, but I always like a second row as the second lifter. And the reason is you get just so much extended height. So especially if it's somebody light like Dite, it's so easy to get, imagine Jamal at full extension compared to AC at full extension. It's almost a literal foot difference. So it just adds that little element there. But they put him at the back and he did not disappoint. Nobody got around him. He made some good runs out wide in the channel. He didn't throw any dirty passes. He was really on his game. So congratulations. Shakir De Freitas, exceptional. A little undersized right now for Locke, but he proved me completely wrong where the athleticism. When he was hitting rocks, everybody felt him. Every single person. People were looking up. Barbados was scared to put their hands in because of that man. So Shakir, congratulations. Big future ahead. Nigel Bollington, genetic freak, 2 tries. He runs these great support lines. He's just always on the inside shoulder. Always, you know where to find him. He made some monster tackles, dirty, just got involved with everything. Again, another player that I would say that best game, and that says a lot because Barlington has had so many good games. Andrew Lobo, almost a silent soldier. You don't recognize until you look at the game again how much tackles he put in, what he did to stop Barbados around the rocks, what he did around the park, just tackle-wise. Like, I mean, he really put his body in the line. So Lobo, another huge performance, and now in the national colours again for the senior team. Shaquille Dite, excellent. I mean, the option you gave in the outside channel so many times, Barbados was just confused what to do. They weren't expecting that level of athleticism. So a big game. And what you offer on the lineouts defensively is a game changer. You know, being able to get that lift again, I mean, making everything so dirty, it adds a huge factor. And actually, I should go back to just for Lobo, because that's what Lobo brings. Not Lobo, sorry, my apologies. So Barlington, because that's what he brings off kickoffs. Everything is just dirty because he gets there, he gets the hand to it. So exceptional work. On to Jeremy Bonas. Bonas, what could I say? First cap, didn't put much wrong foot forward. If you ever, though, when a maul is going forward, because remember, when a maul is going forward, the defenders then have to make a decision. They have to decide, how do I stop this? And the only way to do that is to bring in more defenders or to pull it down illegally. So when your forwards are going forward, they are locked in, they're going, and defenders again sucked in. Barbados, when it was going forward, they were fanning out defensively. Just leave it in there, wait for it. Do not let anybody convince you to just throw out some dirty pass, because the defenders are out there and all your forwards are going forward. They're not ready to support the next rock. So that is literally my only criticism. Otherwise, exceptional job. Big future ahead, no doubt. Chris Hudson, again, a player who just did a lot of things right. Not always the flashes, and you don't need always to be the flashes. You got a lot of flash around you. Great distribution, nice kicking from the tee. If I have to be critical, there are a few times where we just needed an outlet ball, because at the end of the game especially, their wingers were pushing way up. But we just punted it right down, super deep. Gave their fullback lots of time to come back and counter. And especially when everybody's tired, a lot of times that's a little dangerous. Sometimes you just need to clear the park, make that 20, 30 yards, and just everybody gets a chance to breathe, waste some time off the clock, and just settle it. But otherwise, a very good game. Antonio Pascal, he was on for the first half there. He could be very proud of his performance as well. I mean, when Larry said he picked him, he didn't say, I'm picking this man because he's going to beat 15 fellas on the outside. He said, I'm picking him. I love what he does defensively and exactly what he do. You'll see lots of footage of him making good defensive decisions. And a few times the ball came his way and it just didn't go his way. But I think he could be very, very proud of what he did. Joseph Quashie, the captain, a lot of good line breaks, a lot of good decision making, very good defensively. He was up against two very, very dangerous runners with Hakimian and Ward, their captain for Barbados, and he didn't do a lot wrong. What he does very, very beautifully is he doesn't do a lot of dancing before and then look to go on the outside or back inside. He runs a little bit at you and he just gets the defender to set. And as the defender sets, he's able to just do a drift with his pace, just opens up a little bit more. And it just makes the defender very uncomfortable. The defender usually only gets a hand on him, and he usually is able to get his hands free or break a tackle or just break or mess with the defensive line. So big work there by Joseph Quashie. He can be proud of the captain. Agbola Silverthorne. I would actually say, and a lot of people, because he's so accustomed to scoring all these tries and doing all this work offensively, I would actually argue that was Agbola's best game. He was basically organizing that defensive channel. Remember, Barbados attacked that channel all day with some big ball runners, and he was like a general, controlling, talking to his back three. When he got the ball, he was so patient, so mature in that role, and distribution wise, he didn't try any flick in and back and forth. He just did his role and he did it exceptionally well. So congratulations, Silverthorne. And actually, I'll say as well, every time they tried to attack and we made a tackle, or he made a tackle, he started that counter ruck about 5 times that we won the ball from. So it wasn't just Barlington and Dite. He was there very often starting it. He did some great work. Going on to Jonathan Taylor, and another guy who had an exceptional game. Just ball in the air. Again, Larry said this back three I'm choosing is solid under the high ball. No mistakes back there. And he did well. He bought back. He was always his X factor. His distribution was great as well. Just so much positives about Jonathan Taylor. And, you don't need to finish every time to have a great game as a winger. He just did his role and he was exceptional at it. Isaac Small, exceptional game. Defensively, offensively, hit the line well, talked, moved with the back three, vocal. Exceptional game. Another defense force product, and I just think positive. I hope this man gets more opportunities. He deserves it. Isaac Small, huge future ahead. On to the reserves, and again, I was just touching base about it earlier. The job as a reserve. If you are going to sit on the side and have that negative, a sulking attitude, or, I should be starting, stuff like that, you are cancerous on the side. You have been chosen, you are part of the squad. Once the squad wins, that is all as important. This is a contact sport. You're going to get an opportunity to get on the field at some point. Somebody's going to be sick. Somebody's going to be late. Somebody's going to be injured. You will get your shot. But while you're on the bench, your role is very specific. Be that force of good. Be that force of inspiration. And you will get a chance to come on eventually. And if you don't, and I know it's very hard to train all this time and you don't get that cap on that day, there will be other days. Don't rule yourself out by being a disruptive force on the team. That's all I'm going to say. So Ephraim, you didn't get a chance to come on there. You had a great training squad. You will be there in the future. I love what you do in open field. Positive on the side. So you're clapping a few times. So you're going up and forth. You're apart at halftime. Your time will come. Congratulations. You are part of a winning team. Wendell Fullerton, late addition. When you came on, there was a scrum or two in the second half where I thought, oh boy, we made a few changes. And I'll get to those players as well. We made some difficult changes there, I thought. And we instantly said, correct it. Bring on Wendell to shore up the scrums. And that's exactly what he did. Wendell knows he doesn't offer as much going out wide and everything like that. But that's not what we needed. We needed a rock at scrum time. And that's what we provided. So congratulations, Wendell. Your role, you're positive, and you made it happen at the end there. Kareem Figaro. So, sometimes we talk about players that are different. Oh, this guy could do this and that and thing. In my position, I know Kareem can scrum. But when you are playing against an 8 that is noticeably, 400 pounds heavier than you, and you take off Jamal in the lock, to bring him on and ask him to go on in the scrum is a very difficult on a wet day. Based on, I even saw his boot selection. They weren't pegs. I thought he had a much better game when he moved back to the second row. We know what he could do in the open field, but in that part of the game, to ask him to come on, given his footwear, given what we were doing in the second row, to ask him to go to prop was a big challenge. And I love the fact that we instantly made the correction and put him in the second row there. So good game, Figaro. I like you a lot. Joshua Sechan. We bought Joshua on. I like Joshua a lot. Do I think Joshua is going to be or get a lot of caps at the national level as a lock? I personally think that it is not very fair or fortunate to him for him to focus his energy there. Can he do it? Would he be great at club level? Yes. National wise, not a lot of options in the line out because he is a little bit shorter. And he's not going to be able to be that backbone because of a lack of size as well. Now remember, we have to think big term. We have to think about, forget when we're playing the little minnows. Yes, I mean, he's too good. He's great. I'm not saying leave him out the side. In an ideal world, he will not know. Will never convince anybody. I look at body types and I move from there. He has a skill set. He could be like another Guerra. I see him as a hooker who's great in open field, great with ball in hand, throwing the ball and stuff like that. Will he have a lot of work to do? You don't just start at hooker. He has a lot of things to learn. But if he focuses his energy there, I think that's where he's going to get the most national caps. If you tell me, well, he refuses, he's only going to play lock, I think that limits him as a player. That's just my statement. So let's speak now about Anderson Joseph, who was a freak of nature, a force of nature when he came on. And that's to tell you about your role as a substitute. He was earmarked to be a flanker. And if Dante Hazard did not get injured, it is even possible that he didn't come on the field. But he took his opportunity. He came on for an injured player and he went crazy. His tackling was crazy. He won the ball at breakdowns, even picked and go and scored off it because he recognized what was in front, an intelligent play. He broke the line a few times. He held up the ball when he was alone out wide and he was able to hold it up while his support came. Everything he did was exceptional. And you know what? He didn't sulk on his side. He waited for his time. And as soon as he came on, positive energy. So congratulations, Anderson Joseph. Nathaniel Cadiz. He is a player who I have spoken very highly of. I know he is shell-shocked not to come on. He wanted that first cap. And you know what? Trinidad-wise, the fact that him and Bonas are going to be slugging it out is exceptional for years and years to come. I cannot wait to see that battle. But don't think it's just y'all two. Imagine if another fly-off puts his hand up. Chris, who also plays fly-off, he's going to be pushing for selection. You all two have a world in front of you, and it's exceptional for T&T Rugby. So, KDs, your time will come. Do not worry. I love the skill set you bring. You actually bring some things to the table that I think personally that Bonas has to work on. That's my personal case. And in some games, you're not going to get that quick ball. You're not going to get those opportunities. I prefer KDs in that role. But you have to be a positive energy, and you have to be supporting your scrum half, saying, look, I'm on the side. Whatever you need, I am here for you now, and you'll be there for me if I need you down the line. But your time will come. Marcellus McCarty, exceptional. You came on, I've been begging you to come. Exceptional when you came on. Again, makeshift, pack under pressure, broke the line a few times, made things happen, got his foot on the ball a few times. Great, great work, Marcellus. Lots to say, but I know I'm running late on time. Lastly, I'm just going to talk about Dante Hazard. He came on and put in a massive hit. Unfortunately, he just clipped the side of his head, went down, and thank God the medical staff came on and convinced him he wanted to play on. He was absolutely shattered that he couldn't come back on. He got the head assessment, and he said, look, it's just not worth it for your health down the line. He came off, and he was just shattered. You know, you train all this time and not to be on the field for a minute. You know, he wanted to show. I know his significant other was in the crowd. She was trying to console him after the game. Dante, we are looking at you as a long-term prospect as well. We want you here for a lot of games. You are part of a winning squad. That's the bottom line. You could be on for 30 seconds. You could just be on as a role player. Your day will come. Do not worry about it. So congratulations to Larry Mendez. Congratulations to this T&T squad. Barbados, we super appreciate you coming around. Thank you for making yourself available, Mr. Whipple. We hope to see you all again. Touring teams make the world of difference. So I know I kept you all for long. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you all continue to support, and we'll see you all out there at the next game. Thanks again. Bye.